after. What is the problem in relationships?
Accept your partner for who they are, because you find hore luhulwa ho in the relationship later on lo lusa ke hore motho wa nwa lo lusa gore motho ke motho wa dichomi mara witsitse
before say
be witsitse. So why are you putting pressure on another person to change? For what? And that is where now you also miss each other in terms of communication, because motho we crazy mabiala high, we crazy the chomisa high, how much are change? I guess change. I change thing. And then how Tomale Bulela, I get it utano bribe. Hey, bribe love ska next week. I guess I did me. Oh yeah, I get it. And then it seems like I would really know. So the communication is out the window. So let's also stop trying to change other people. When you start having a problem with somebody, ask yourself in a relationship, or what is my contribution? Why is my partner acting like that towards me? What have I done? Wabon? Iskabelo hore wena udirile so. Wena what's your contribution? Because it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
You treat me in one way, I react in a particular way. That's how it goes. So before you point a finger at your partner, ask yourself. It's painful. It's painful to introspect, because but you need to do it for you to be fair and for you to build the relationship. And if you need to apologize, do so.
Relationship problem nagele show any super one tella, you know, Hairi 1 2 3 wagre lorna pila challenge imo site nya,
Yes.
because of ke motho anke ke tebella.
Yes.
La dumela yona no, you are right, because conflict management it will like a self first. Wabona he unya go solve a problem o thoma ka wena, or what have I done?
Yeah.
For the situation is fitlhe mo se le mo teng.
Yes.
Which is not easy, by the way.
It's not easy, and let me add. Ukulele hore monna ukila bon wa rata o stata ka ho fa chelete allowance, because wanyaka, not hore he's forced to do it.
Yeah.
And then when as Mosadi, you start to disrespect, you start to ill treat him. Wezang o feleza tshola fa chelete agere. Now how botsa batho ha ba botse hore wena you are disrespectful.
Yeah.
O tlo re monna o kenga mebyang mara o sa bolele the whole story hore e thomile kae. Ngwana wa batho o na ituketse a o loketse le wena, but because of your treatment athoma a change ona mo. So we need to look at ourselves, introspect, we putsise ole one hore nna hore a change from the person that he was or she was ke dirile eng, because you did contribute. It takes two to tango most of the times.
Yeah, no, ke le nna ke rutehile wait ke mo counseling, by the way, ke mo sessioning ke mo sessioning, because no ke challenge e leng re phela le yona each and every day. Ene ko malapeng a rena or ko mo relationship tsa rena e seng re solve rena le solution, re thomo phela ra itlwaela. O thomo tlwaela hore he motho ga a ira so ke no tswa mo ena ke taboa after nakonyana tle ba le beta ebile re tswa mo yona a re sa e bolela le issue eo re tswile mo yona hona ka mkho lo tsentse di solve ba mo malapeng. No honestly le nna go mongwe wa bona ke nya go bolla maka
la tswa fela mo
ya re no re o itse ke motho wa ntapisa e re ke tsamaye ke majiteng o ya majiteng ho bua fela ka mo dikobong wa robala ka o sane baby e fedile
wa e bona ba no wa e bona, because I wanna re fedile is a solve you need to talk about it.
That's where you come in.
Yeah,
ke mo tshwantse re tlo consult go wena.
Yes, you need to talk.
Okay. Yeah, no, I know re ithuta re na man na a get bare a happy home, or a happy wife, ne? Happy home.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Ne?
Yes.
Where's the man? More statement than say, where are we? Because if it's point to sacrifice our own happiness for the happiness the relationship. I get wrong understand na. Re ko kae mo scenario nseo, re ko kae. Because high I sale high. I also feel a lo ya high because when now you are not happy, but you are making that place or in a happy home for family.
When now sing happy, did you say you are not happy? O boletse na hore a ke happy or o tshwere dilo mo wena na? Because a lot of men, they bottle things up because, as you say, or they want to keep everything together for the family. They want to make everybody happy.
Yes.
When or I'm not comfortable with this, this. Have you spoken as a man? Have you verbalized your emotions to say, things cannot go on like this. I get happy.
Yeah.
I get happy. Ukilabon. Ubuletse na.
Rabolela.
Labolela abalu.
Aba udli.
But also it depends on lebolela byang.
Out yon.
Lebolela byang.
Asu are rebolela here kwatile. Are rebolela here kwatile. Because wabolela hauna change. Wabolela the lodi continue the same. What do you do?
But it can also be said, hore le basadi ba bolela dilo adi change. Yeah, ba bolela nothing stays the same. You know, everything has to do with commitment. You know, when a couple comes to me, for example, and they have problems, the first thing I ask, do you want to build the relationship? Because not everybody that comes to counsel want to build.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you are not going to be committed and you want to build, then what's the use of us continuing the counseling? So there must be that commitment, you know, in the relationship to say, I want to make it work.
Yeah.
You know, be it on the woman's side or on the men's side.
Yes.
I want to make it work. You know, and I want to be happy. It must be a conscious decision that you are making to say, I want to be happy with this person. And there must be that commitment also in the relationship to want to make the marriage work or the relationship work, you know. And we say, hooray, a happy wife, a happy home. Because in actual fact, let's be honest, women are doing a lot.
Yeah.
You know? And not hooray, they are being abused. It's our nature. That is what we have been built for. We are supposed to bring the family together. It's a woman's duty to do that. You know? It's a woman's duty to nurture the family. It's there. Its nature is supposed to be like that. You know, that is why when a woman is happy, the whole family is happy. Wabon? Because mainly as a man, yes, you do have your role that you are playing, which is very important. You know, men do a lot for their families. But and we can never be the same. Never be the same. So because the woman has so much responsibility, I'm not minimizing the responsibility of a man because it's also a lot. You know, we are expecting a lot from our men these days. They must be the protector, they must be the provider, there must be this and that and that and that and that. But the women, Kamu, they carry much more than a man because of the way that they have been created, because of the role that they have to play in society. Aritwane. And many times I see people wanting to equate men with women. Aritwane. You know, let's start with our physiology. The body to show her Masadi has different responsibilities to a man. And that's just how it is. But nowadays we are mixing We are trying to mix everything. We are confusing everything. We are just confusing nature. And that is where we find ourselves with the problems that we are experiencing. But let's appreciate hore re tshwane. Not hore ra compete, but ha re tshwane.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Ya utlwala hore banna le basadi a re tshwane. The responsibilities tsa rena ha di tshwane. Ke khopela le tlohele ho re phusetsa go kitchen, please.
You know, and when you start to talk like that, and how to mobolela so, bare wena o anti-progress, but that is the truth. Ha re tshwane, you know, the same way basadi we are built, we are made to be more verbal. Ana mthaka bolela le mosadi. Ra bolela. We've been gifted. That is who we are. Ra le mantswe a mantsi. You know, that's how we are. We are created like that. Banna, they have few words. They have few words. Aba asebatho ba dipolelo. That is nature. That is how God created us. So now if you want to compete those two roles, then you are going against God. You know? That is why you can send a man to the stores and say, ke khopela o ilo reka nama. Ne? A man will come back ka nama fela. Mara you send a woman, or zamo reka nama. O tla ka trole yotle. It to show what we are different.
Exactly.
Because msadi unahanno sopo ela go imixa ka eng. Yo mazambani next week ashipil. Monna will go and do what they are supposed to be straight. And psychologically, they have been made like that. They are logical, they are straight, they are analytical. Ke monna. Mosadi is different. So now why do we have to compete? Because we must complement one another.
That's why you grab na banna re so botsa mpego go di grocery store. Hey. O gre monna o tse se. O tse se chapile. O ga ro cheka go shop. We don't have that patience.
You don't have. God has not given you that thing. Mosadi o bonela next week. The week after. Lo sa plan o reka dikous, a rekele bana dikous mari ha yetle. Monna o reka nama ya hae fela. A ke re o tla le nama. O tla le nama ya hae. But mosadi is already thinking about everybody else in the family. I'm not saying men don't do that. But we are wired differently and we need to appreciate that. A woman can multitask. They can be busy with a lot of things all at once. It's our nature and we can do it well. But a man, on the other hand, a man will focus on one thing. I fetsa. Ha fetsa, I go engwe. Ha fetsa, I go in. Marona basadiri, we are all over. Yeah. It's our nature. Why are we now expecting men also to be all over go tswana le rona? Go frustrate bana ba batho.
Yeah, I think re leka understanding more the relationship in Zarena, who eats your partner. I think ke one thing e leng gore tshwentse re ithute yona gore motho a ka ke motho mo o nya go ratiwa byang.
Yeah.
You know, because I think the love language ya di tshwana. Yeah. And ng alawe gore ke go tepele ne. Yeah, ere he ke tla go wena. Ke saba monna le mo wena motho wa ka.
Go nyo go tepa.
You know, ere go tepele.
Go nyo go brush your tongue.
No, because guys, love language ha e tshwane. Ho na le batho ba bang maybe maybe motho na kwa hola ho na le something sa se shotileng.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, now we lo phela that person a tla a shotileng something from ilo munyana.
Yeah.
Ne?
Yeah.
Ha fitla mo wena. Ke motho lo hore o itse o nya go hagiwa, o nya go tshwariwa. Banna le bona le lotse ba di tlhoka. Guys.
Yeah, no, ba di tlhoka re ha. Are han. But then when
o nya go hagiwa jo. O nya go hagiwa jo. You
want to be told hore wa ratiwa again. You want to be told hore you are being missed again, hore you are special again. Yes, there's nothing wrong. Mara, I want to also add on what you are saying now. Hore o khotsi o sna dilo tseo, and then now you are in a relationship and then o nyaka motho mong a wetse tsona dilo tseo. There's another thing of development.
Yes.
Before you get into a relationship, you must know yourself. One of those childhood traumas,
Yes.
deal with them first, so that your partner does not have to deal with tsona for wena, because refa bana ba bang morwalo. They don't have the capacity to handle that. So let's take responsibility for ourselves. Let's take responsibility for our own healing, because everybody comes from somewhere.
Yes.
We come from different homes, we've been exposed to different things. Make sure you heal. Oskanyaka partner ya how you heal. Ofanga no mo mmereko, because le ena ona dilo tsa hae tsa dealang le tsona. So it cannot be all about you. When is she going to look at herself and on healing herself? So try by all means to resolve your childhood issues, your childhood trauma. Oska expect that your partner to do that. She should not be mothering you. You should not be fathering her. If only daddy issues, she must deal with it. If you have, mother issues, you must deal with it. Wabon, and no, I think it's a bit unfair, and it if I'm unnecessarily, and then relationship ya safara at the end of the day.
Can you welcome our guest, Tshwane, senior prosecutor. Thank you very much for joining. O tsene taba e fisa re bolla ka di relationship mo. Ya fisa go na le childhood trauma se tseleng gore re tsena le tsona ka mora di relationship. And nako nngwe auspethu a re di itse.
Okay.
You are this person.
Yeah.
I understand what's happening.
It's true.
Yeah. So I'm saying the partners they need to identify these things.
Yeah.
That I think end up the counseling.
Yeah.
To know each other. Challenge and hake kono go bolla lona because ke bolla lona or ke a tepela. I need to be a man.
That is why next we have come up with a compatibility assessment in my consultancy, where we assess your compatibility to be with each other.
Okay.
All this is ra assess or next ke motho moso motho na lena o so. There is no one that is perfect. Because we are avoiding fantasizing about the relationship. People get into a relationship and they fantasize about the next that they want.
Yes.
The next that they want is not the next that is there. So in the compatibility assessment, we will be able to alert you also to those childhood traumas or whatever psychological ills that you need to deal with. And really sensitize both of you as a couple to say, how the weaknesses are ashidi. How ashidi, your strengths are this. Make a conscious decision. Maybe somebody who's self-centered or selfish. Or this is but just know or selfish. And then if you are willing to live no problem. But then have that conscious mind, make that conscious decision. I am going to be with a selfish person and then get right the guy on. Oh, this is Oscar expect a moto o elong hore o tlo shera le wena o tlo ufa only to find hore moto ha mo yena. So get to know each other and embrace each other. Come khole lengate. There's no need to lethalana. But just know.
Okay, welcome Kikopa. Uti introduce happy for the last. I promise you are introducing yourself for the last time.
Thank you.
Because we're not Pila host. So Kikopa uti introduce for the last time, and then Rana Pertsenetavi.
Thank you, sir. I'm Cristina Molautsi. I'm a senior prosecutor in the Pretoria cluster. Thank you.
All right. I was Cristina. Thank you for joining us. I like domestic violence this week, and then we've realized that domestic violence. I told me, but from stages selling hore homonati. The phone call it's about 6 hours. a o sa ra rata gore o tseya nama o isa ko old dropong o tseya skipper o ntse o bolela o se isa ko fridging go monate ke relationship then go fitlha mo leng gore e ba violent e ba violent bjanong go a lwewa batho ba le ne ba bitsana bo baby ba bolela 6 hours a ba sa kgone go bolela le 3 minutes because he ba bolela go fofa di-plate di-foroko batho ba lwa physically ka mo dintlong ka mo di-relationshipeng tsa bona le ba leng gore ba mo serious relationshipeng a ba nyala but they are facing the same thing re ka ba thusa ka eng le bana ba rena go sekolong ba ipolela di-boyfriend you know ba bolaya di-girlfriend tsa bona girlfriend ta ka inchitile the next day motho tse ya video ke mmolaile she was my everything I ne ke phela bophelo ba ka for yena if I can't have you
no one else
nobody will re ka reng ka batho ba bona sentse ba na le mentality ya gore if I can't have you nobody will.
I was listening to Ospechu now, and I was wondering maybe she will help with what came to my mind when she was talking about male and female. She went on to discuss why the female or the women have a duty to keep up the family, and I was thinking, is this not the stereotype that we need to dispel? If we're going to put duties on male and female, is it not where now GBV starts? Because now we have to, you have to do this. I am a male, I am supposed to do this. Are we not supposed to be trying to learn how to deal with the situation without putting that this is a female duty, this is a male duty? Because now that is where GBV actually starts, because men would now start like, I'm the male, I'm made to do this, you are the female, you should be in the kitchen. How do you then balance that if a female has to? Are we not supposed to learn and evolve and try and do things differently so that we avoid situations where one gender is below the other gender because they can do this or they can't do that?
It's not about that. We need to complement each other. And I think also research still needs to be done, because we cannot live like we are the same. We are not the same. We are not the same. We can never be the same. We were not created to be the same. Otherwise, then we are saying that maybe the Lord has erred in terms of how he has created us and what he expects from a man and a woman. And that is where also, as I had explained earlier, to say the role confusion, it creates problems in the relationship. You are correct. We are evolving. You know, the world is evolving. Things are changing. Things are changing, you know. And I really want to say something that I think people should think about. Every manual, everything that you buy on this earth has a manual. You go, you buy a car, it comes with a manual. You buy a bicycle, it comes with a manual. You buy a micro, everything. There is no manual. Why? Because the manufacturer of that thing is telling you what you need to do to keep that thing working in a good condition. Right? People, we didn't just fall from the sky. We have a manual by which we need to live. You can be Christian. We have the Bible. Muslims have the Quran. Hindus, they have their own Bible. We are spiritual beings first before we are anything. So we have a supreme being, which is God, whatever you deem your God to be. In all these major religions, you know, a gona mo ba sa boleleng hore what is expected from us as human beings. And the problem, ne, is that as people, we have moved away from our manuals, and then we are trying to write our own manuals, which is why things seem to complicate all the time. How regular a particular brand ya koloi, you never make a mistake. Gore Oscar follow the manual exactly as it is, because why is or it was in Hebari 15,000 kilometers, take it for service, you make it a point. Why don't we do that as human beings? Because we are now trying to create our own problems. Remember that also humans' wisdom and our intelligence is limited. We cannot out-reason God. Whether you believe in him or not, you can't. You're still a human being. And if you don't do what he says you must do, what hope is there? You know, you can say it's anti-progress, but fortunately or unfortunately, that is the truth. We have moved away from a manual. If we can go back to the Bible, go back to the Quran, go back to the Hindu Bible, things might be better in all aspects of life, not only with GBV.
I'm just sitting in a chair where we talk of the Constitution.
Yeah.
Where we have even atheists amongst us. And where the Bible would say, you are a partner. You are a helper. You will submit, but you are a partner first before you submit. When God made a woman, he didn't say, I'm making you somebody who's going to, said, you are going to be the helper to the husband.
Yeah.
And if we are going to encourage, now that the new Amendment Act on the GBV, it talks about spiritual abuse. And it now goes to what Ospechu was talking about. Spiritual abuse, where somebody's going to say, I'm a Christian, and this is how we want. This is how it goes, which is now regarded as abuse. Now, if I come to you and the Constitution says this, and I'm not a Christian, or we are from different denominations, how do you, now, since the new dispensation, children are actually growing up without even having, there's no Bible in the school, there's nothing. How do you tell this child that has never heard of this, that now the Bible or God tells you this, when this person says to you, I don't believe in God. And this is what is happening. And this husband of mine says, you can't do this. And I read on the GBV, or I'm told, if he does this and he tells me I need to be his spiritual, how do you then say to a person, God says this, and the person just says, but I am an atheist, and the Constitution says I'm equal to my partner. And unfortunately, he is doing this to me, he's forcing me to do this. When he gets to me in court, I say, I'm charging him for spiritual abuse. And they go to you and you're saying, no, God says this is, because as much as we are Christians, we can't say to the others, this is what the Bible says, or this is what the Quran says. It says, I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Hindu, don't believe in anything of the things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
How is it going to combat GBV? Because now, I think when I come to you and I'm saying, I'm atheist, and this is what is happening to me, and my husband, who's Christian, how do you then advise there? How can we go about to avoid what is happening in the house? We don't want to divorce, but things are going on in the house, and we are of different denominations.
Yes. No problem with that. Hence I said you must be aware of the person that you're being involved with. if you are with an atheist, be aware. You shouldn't expect the person to change now to be a believer, because they don't believe, and for you now to expect the atheist to believe in what you are believing in is wrong, And in counseling, we don't give advice, because when you are giving advice, you are assuming the responsibility of that person's life, which is unfair, We let you discover your own truth. That is what we do in counseling, so we don't give advice. And atheism is less than 2% of the total population.
You get that 1% of it will come to you.
Yeah, but it's very. They are there, as there is no absolution in life, but the believers, they outweigh the atheists. So things must be balanced, and I do agree with you, there is spiritual abuse. And there are people who are using the church, to how can I put this? To actually perpetuate their behavior of abuse. They would say, even in Christianity, there's different beliefs. So even in Christianity, they don't believe in the same principles or the same values as a family. It's still there, and those are the things that we need to navigate through. But what I am saying is that we need to go back to basics. We need to go back to basics. We are people. We are learned. We are learned. We have all the information that we need. Is the information aligned with the manuals that we must be following as a human species? Every religion, let's go back to basics, like the basic. The basics in all religions is love. Love. If we had love for each other, would the world be the way it is today? No. Would there be war? No. Would there be GBV? No. Would there be, a man abusing a woman? No. Would there be a woman abusing a man or disrespecting? No. Because everything centers around love. So sometimes I think we drift away because of the knowledge that human beings have, which is not aligned with the wisdom that the Lord has given us. And if we do not align ourselves with the Word of God, we will never get anything right. Never get anything right. Regardless of the books that we write, regardless of the books and the qualifications that we obtain, we will never get it right. So we just need to go back to basics. We need to go back to basics. There's no absolution in life. As problems come, yes, we navigate through them. We try to resolve them as humanly as we can. And I like what you say, these days there's no God, even in the schools. God is taken out, yet people are talking about moral regeneration. What are we saying? What are we saying? We need God, yet we minimize him. Where we are supposed to be lifting him up and exalting him, we are minimizing him, we are suppressing him, and then at the end of the day, we blame him for the decisions that we have taken as people with our limited knowledge. Yes, he has given us knowledge, but is it aligned with his word?
I would actually, it is, I'm sitting in a position where the Constitution says, I agree with Ospetur, God is nowhere. I'm telling you, even if people don't say they are atheists, but you can tell the way they live that there's no God in their lives. And they are not spiritually rooted. It's not deep. And unfortunately, for me, God does not, he gives you a choice. he doesn't say you will be mine whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
He says my hands are open,
Yes.
come through. What do you tell a person that does not want to go to court, that you cannot force to go to court, and yet she's been abused? Because it doesn't mean that we're perfect, even if we are in God. We make mistakes. That is why I think they added spiritual abuse. And as much as I know who I believe in,
Yeah.
I cannot go to another person that doesn't believe and say, this is how you need to do it.
Yeah.
With me, it's the Constitution says you need to try and get to see the other person as your equal. It won't be the strength, it won't be anything else, but we see. I was actually, while you're saying that, I was laughing at something. Spouses that cannot testify against their husbands. You know that law comes from a biblical foundation.
Okay.
It does not, a spouse cannot testify against her own husband in a criminal matter. And it still is the same today, that a spouse is in marriage. So who believes in marriage? There are Christians, Muslims, valid marriage. So it doesn't accommodate when I say a life partner, I have a life partner, they will be forced to testify against the person.
Yeah.
I can't say, we've been dating and we are in, if you're not married, like civil marriage, then you can't you will be forced to testify. So there are basic Christian laws that evolved into common law that are still being used.
Okay.
But there are exceptions to that as well.
Yeah, true.
So we can't now, when there's a constitution imposed, our constitution unfortunately doesn't impose the beliefs of anybody upon somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said be equally yoked, know what your partner is, what you're getting yourself into, so that a person knows. But when things go wrong, you can't then go back and say, I need to submit, he will get it right. If he tells me to cook and he tells me his Bible says I can't do this, I should say that. And even though it's in the Bible, we can't force the other party to say.
Yeah.
And you know what is interesting, ne? Is that if we are to make everything out of love, lay those roads, people are shying away from. You know, without you telling him, I feel it because of the love. You don't even have to force them. But then because we have moved away from that, because there's no love. But if there's love makes you do things. Love makes somebody change. They change because of love. The love that you give them. Any atheist, you know, but because of the love that you give them, it's a color changes. Because of the love, that is what makes somebody change, you know. So, and the spirituality, we can't run away from it, or we can't neglect it, because sometimes you find what things are going well in a relationship or in a marriage, but there's a spiritual attack that makes the parties to fight. It has nothing to do with psychology, nothing. Everything is well. It's a spiritual attack.
We need, if somebody doesn't believe in the spiritual attack, then we need to balance it, because somebody will just say, what are they talking about? Spiritual attack, what is that? You know?
So we have a lot of work to do in terms of educating people regarding that.
Yeah, no. We need to continue this conversation, especially trying to find a relationship between this love that you need, camera relationship, and there's also a spiritual aspect of it. So I think let's try and go deeper into this conversation re zama ho create the relationship between the two, because we are agreeing hore we need love, and love comes from God. Then we need to agree that we are spiritual beings. That one we can't run away from. How do we connect the two in order for us to be able to deal with this pandemic that we are living with? Can we do it again next week? Can we do it again next week? Because conversation iba heated ka nako long hore nako rena e fedi. You know, nako rena e fedile mara ka utlwa there's more that we can still share more this conversation, because we are trying to get to the bottom of this. We want to understand what is the problem. Re thoma re ratana ko bofelong, there's gender-based violence, there's domestic violence in our relationships. What is the problem? So now we are saying, where's love? So we need to discuss taba ya lerato. We are saying, spiritually, where are you? How can we make sure hore lo tse pedi tse di kra relationship le tsona, so that relationship are nna strong? All right, ke khopela ho le tloela any last words before re tswalla show?
Thank you so much. I think when we go deeper into this, before the love, there should be respect.
Yeah.
Because with no respect, you can't respect something. You don't disrespect something you don't love. I'll leave it at there in a comma, to be continued.
Okay, relationship between love and respect. Okay.
Yeah. My last words is that as the world is evolving, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, spiritually, academically, socially, and otherwise, so that we can properly unpack this GBV thing and align it the way it should be.
All right.
Can I just maybe also say,
yes,
we also need to align it with the Constitution, because there's a law in the country that we need to abide with.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. No, I know right. So guys, let's meet next week Thursday, same time from 12 to 1 o'clock. This is Tshwane Crime Bust. Let's meet again next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ke batla attack constitution ke nyoko butsa gore constitution is it aligned with the word of God now? That's what I want to ask.